Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Do not watch this video if you haven't caught up with this week's episode of Game of Wool. The knitter being cast off is... Hello and welcome back to Game of Wool, the cast-off from our lovely haberdashery of dreams. Each week I talk to the person that's been cast off from the Game of Wool. This week it was the semi-final. Let's get knitting. Diane Sheila would love for you to refashion old charity shop Aran jumpers.
There we go.
Oh, God, no.
Oh, this is amazing.
Into a catwalk-worthy dress.
We want you to make a bag. But the important thing is we want you to repurpose your material to make into a yarn.
It is hard work.
And it was the last person to be cast off, and the first person to be cast off with a sheep badge. So we have to give a huge round of applause to the Enthusiast King himself.
Oh, gosh.
Isaac.
Oh, good.
Isaac.
Oh, good.
Oh, that hurt to say. You've done so incredibly well. I mean, throughout your whole journey on the show, it's been so incredible to watch you grow as a knitter, confidence in being able to learn lace for the very first time and do so well and your design and technique has been so fantastic and the judges have loved it, but we did lose you at the semi-final, which was really sad. But where do you think it started to unravel when you look back at it?
I think probably in the week just before the semi-final, I took a bit of a hit. My design concept wasn't super strong for the jewellery, and I think had I not performed as well as I did in the lace challenge, I would have been on my way out that week. And then it just kind of like spiraled. It's hard to come back fighting with a lot of power after something like that, but I did my best. I think just time caught up with me really in that last challenge.
What are some of the favourite things and the things you're most proud of that you made?
My favourite thing was finishing the sofa challenge. I never want to see that again.
Yeah, okay, fair.
Honestly, it's all been fantastic. I want to take so many things that I've done throughout the show and sort of like modify them for something that I would maybe do in more than 12 hours.
Yes.
I am, although unfortunately you fell through it, I'm really proud of that deck chair. The fact that throughout that whole challenge, everyone was looking at us, they're like, are you going to get this done? Like, guys, are you going to get this done? Everyone else is almost finished. And we were like, no, we'll be all right. And we had something that looked like a deck chair. I was so pleased with it, and it looked really, really neat. And yeah, I was gassed on it.
It looked great until
you sat in it.
Here we go.
It's fine. It's a decorative chair. That's what deck is short for.
Okay. Oh, okay. Short for decorative chair.
I'm penning that in now.
Okay, good. I mean, you did take some pretty big risks, and you really did push yourself when it came to design, to the point where you had so much design in there. Sometimes you didn't quite get to finish it the way that you might have hoped.
Yeah.
Are there any things that you would do differently next time, if there was a next time?
I would definitely revisit my bag. I think I just sort of ran out of time to formulate ideas as we were getting towards the end of the process. Like, everything is so quick, like week on week we're doing all of these things.
So, since being cast off, have you cast on anything onto your needles since you've left the show?
It hasn't been that long, but yes, I have cast on. In fact, while we were filming the show, I cast on a jumper, which is like 95% of the way done now. I literally just need to finish the sleeve and put a neckband on it.
That's wild to me that I couldn't believe that in your breaks during the 12-hour challenge,
Still knitting.
you were still knitting.
Well, in the breaks within the challenges, I wasn't, because the mental break and the physical break is really important. But between challenges, yeah, absolutely, I was knitting.
Wow.
Yeah, not just me. Lydia was knitting as well,
Really?
and I think Holger might have been knitting at some points.
It's amazing to think that, that you still want to be able to knit. Even though you spent all day knitting, you go home and knit. I think it's a different kind of knitting.
It
now,
is.
Right?
It totally is. There's not to say that I didn't want to knit any of the stuff that we were doing in the barn, but there's a difference between knitting what you want to knit and knitting what you're told to knit.
True. Had you particularly designed things on your own before coming into this
No,
competition?
not at all. Never.
You'd never designed before?
No.
So that is something that's so incredibly impressive, that you've gone from not designing to then being one of like the lead designers in the whole show.
I don't know where this title has come from.
No, but your
like,
ideas and your concepts and the way that you constructed and engineered things, it was like you'd been engineering and designing and shaping things your whole life. It is really actually very impressive, and I don't know if that's something that you want to carry on doing moving forward.
Definitely. I think maybe I've got a bit more confidence in that aspect. I didn't really think I was doing anything particularly impressive, but it seems that a lot of people are looking at it and they're like, no, that was...
It's
really cool.
It's the way of being able to know how many rows to decrease over, and the shaping, and the fact that you made a bagel.
I was so pleased with that bagel.
The bagel, the short rows that allowed it to curve,
Yeah.
and the way that you encased it all with the magnets, like that, it's in itself is so inventive. Is that something, and the designs that you've learned, are those some of the techniques that you might use in creating your own piece?
I'll definitely use them. I find that I'm more attracted to wearables as like things I want to create and make. But you know, maybe now I'll be sort of changing that up, because I do like the really small, intricate things. Like I love to knit little toys and things like that.
The one thing that I ask everyone that gets cast off before I let you go is, what is one piece of advice that you would give to any knitter or crocheter out there?
Do a gauge swatch. That's my one piece of
Okay,
advice.
that's a good one.
It can save you a lot of hassle.
For the people out there that have no idea what you're talking about when it
Yes.
comes to a gauge swatch, what is a gauge swatch?
When you receive a pattern, you'll be told the gauge to which you should knit. So basically how many stitches and how many rows will be in a 4x4 inch square or a 10x10 centimetre square. So by knitting a gauge swatch, you're knitting a square that's maybe a little bit bigger than that, cast on a few more stitches than the gauge tells you to. And then you treat it the same way that you would treat the finished garment. So if it was a jumper, you'd wash it and you pin it out and block it. And then you can measure how many stitches fit into that 10 centimetres, how many rows fit into that 10 centimetres, and if it matches the pattern, you're good to go. If not, you can adjust accordingly.
That's by going up or down in needle size, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're making clothing, if you don't do a gauge swatch, you're going to end up with something either too big or too small.
I
so
cannot tell you the number of things I've unravelled because I did not do a gauge swatch.
I made a mistake once making a sweater vest where I thought it said to use chunky yarn, but it was at the beginning of my knitting era, and I ordered super chunky yarn. And I was
So
like,
it was
why is it so
massive.
big? And then I did a tension gauge after I'd made the whole thing, and I was like,
Yeah,
it's too big.
yeah,
But there we are.
yeah. Gauge swatch, big piece of advice. And you can test wash it, so you know how like certain detergents or certain washes on the machine will affect your finished knit.
That's also a great piece
It's
of
good if
advice.
you're gifting knits as well. Like if you gift someone a pair of socks,
With washing instructions.
give them the swatch and then they can wash it and see how it behaves.
Well, good. Well, thank you very much, Isaac. That was another episode of The Cast Off. Hope you enjoyed that one. And next week, we'll be talking to the finalists. So make sure you join us for some special episodes coming very soon.